It has come to my attention that Andrew's behaviour is deteriorating at school. Our behaviour tracking system has identified several lessons. I am particularly concerned about Andrew's mathematics, dance, art and language lessons, where he seems to be causing disruption to the learning of others. I am disappointed to report that there has not been an improvement in Andrew's behaviour and attitude in mathematics, dance, art and language lessons. If I'd have carried on what I would like, I'd have probably been excluded. When I first got here in year 7, it was like okay for the first 3-4 months. And basically after that, it just like went downhill.
Shut up, Kieran!
Didn't pick up in year 8 either until I went on mentoring scheme.
Low-level disruption is really the bane of a teacher's life. The serious incidents that take place, there's usually something in place to deal with them. The low-level stuff, it's constant, it chips away, it tires the teacher, it disturbs the lessons. And getting these low-level, constant disruptors, if you can get them more positive, more settled, then the whole lesson flows more smoothly.
Part of the issue that we find is that students find it hard to access learning for a variety of reasons. Boys, particularly, find it hard to concentrate.
Come on in! Come on!
In maths, all I was doing was like talking too much, not listening to the teacher.
Andrew was what I would call a bit of a growler and a scowler. He would look down all the time and scowl at everybody all the time, and he would be looking for a constant argument.
Stupid. There was a student that kept annoying me and always like shouting out answers, and so I was just telling him like shut up and swearing at him.
In the end, I had to sort of sit him on his own, isolate him, keep him away from the other kids, and I was constantly having to tell him to just leave it. Andrew, leave it. He'd be picking up what we would call negative marks. He'd be picking up virtually every lesson.
But you can't put your head up if it's already up, okay?
Dance, I just didn't really get on with teacher.
He wasn't overtly naughty. His behaviour was quite, not particularly sly, but it just caught you on that radar level. From year 7, he made minimal progress as he moved into year 8. Year 8, he was physically bigger, so he had more of a presence in the lesson.
Basically, I'd just be wanting not to do what I was told and doing the complete opposite.
Okay.
I don't get that. I didn't get any of that.
There's a gradual progression of letters, so you'd send a standard letter to inform the parents that all was not well. You'd then inform the parents that the behaviour was in fact not improving. We'd then inform the parents that he was then going to be on report.
I think I got like 9 letters in 3 months. At home it was a whole high tension, if you know what I mean. Like I'd walk in like expecting another letter or phone call. Well, I wouldn't be. My mum would.
I can remember him coming home one day and me actually being in one of these phone calls. He just walked in the room halfway through this phone call as I'm being told that Andrew's done this, Andrew's done that, and you don't really know what to say because you need him there to tell him what's happened, but you can see from the look on your face that it's bad news.
I was just like, I'm not bothered what she says, I'm just going to say, just going to do no and just walk past her.
Just didn't know what to do for the best, just completely helpless and useless really, because I just didn't know how to change it.
Peer mentoring, I thought like, oh, this is just going to be another wasted effort, like, it's not going to work, it's just going to be wasted, no point doing it. I was shocked in a way as well, like, why have they picked me? Am I that bad?
How do I do it?
We felt that the impetus that would really move Andrew was talking to other boys about the difficulties they'd had and providing him with some of the strategies that they'd learned to deal with their problems. We had a variety of matching exercises which would hopefully provide us with an objective view of what might be the best way of putting boys together.
That one goes underneath it.
The matching process was very important in that we knew that it was always down to a pair in terms of how successful the mentoring would be. And in the end, Andrew and Gareth really did gravitate towards one another.
That needs to be put on the bottom of that, on the yellow, you can't see it.
Gareth was one of the boys who I actually identified as being an ideal mentor, because slower down the school, particularly in years 7 and 8, he'd been on the receiving end of some bullying. And throughout his time in year 9 and 10, he really grew as an individual.
One of the wheels. Yep. The hardest part about being a peer mentor was the fact that I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't know whether Andrew was going to take anything from me and whether it was going to work. That was the hardest thing for me, actually getting to know Andrew and to getting to work together properly.
I expect him to I tell him something, then he'll go and tell like Mr. Knowles or Mr. Woodward or someone like that. That's where I first thought he'd be like, but turned out not like that.
That way, yeah.
He was supportive and always wanting to help.
Mentoring happened once a week. It was always on Tuesdays at lunchtime for 15 minutes. And the mentoring would enable students to be together on a regular basis, but also throughout the week informal sessions that enabled real close relationships to develop between the mentor and the mentee.
At first he was very scared. He didn't really know what to make of it, but after he really did get into it, he really did build up his confidence in the way he spoke to people. His attitude towards me weren't so restless and so like, oh, this is not going to work type of thing.
We're going to use our target day sheet. We're focusing on our negative and positive points, and then we're setting some targets. For every mentoring session, the boys would complete a report form or an audit sheet which would identify what they discussed, some of the outcomes of those discussions, some of the targets that had been set, and providing students with an opportunity to achieve those targets.
Gareth would have all my negative points and plus points on a sheet, and then we'd discuss them, figure out solutions, like give me advice on how to behave in lessons and don't get stressed.
Alright, so let's set some targets for your lessons then. Let's have a look at the review sheet.
The counting to 10 rule, helped me quite a bit through getting through the lesson. Someone annoys me, count to 10. Someone else annoys me, count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Counting to 10 really did help him. I noticed that because when we was in a mentoring session, if we spoke about a target and he didn't think it would work, he would just shut up for 10 seconds, something like that, and then start again. And are you going to do what we discussed about leaving the lesson, taking a 5-minute breather to calm yourself down?
Yeah, but if it don't work, then I'm just going to go out and just keep going. 5-minute strategy will basically go and stand outside in fresh air, clear your head, get yourself sorted out, then go back in ready to learn.
The 5-minute rule he came up with himself because with his anger and things like that, in the lesson he did use to mouth back, get slightly stressed with it. So the 5-minute rule, he said, I'll stand at the back of class, just go out, ask the teacher to have a break. So obviously your teacher understands that you can do well, you just need to show that you can get used to it, the lesson. There was also the other one where he wrote all his feelings down just to, get them out of his head, get them out of his system, so he didn't think about them so much.
I didn't think they were going to work at all until I tried them. 50, 33, 25, 16 and 8, and that's dramatic drop. There was people with higher negative points, but they were only going down 2 or 3. Mine went down 10, 11 points over a period of terms.
You've received an achievement postcard and you got it from Maths. It says that you've had a huge improvement on your attitude, so obviously you've improved on that department. You are now working well and concentrating in class. Keep it up and well done.
He actually began to pick up many positive behaviour points as well, and the comments that were able to be transferred and communicated to home really did raise the way he felt about himself and his
His overall behaviour, everything changed. The way he was, even with his sister. The way when he came through the door, how he spoke to people. No more letters from school. That was one good thing. No phone calls.
I felt relieved in a way because at least now my mum could be calm and I could actually start talking to him all when I came through the door.
As the process of peer mentoring went on, you could see a gradual change in him. He became calmer and he wasn't looking at the other kids and he wasn't watching them all the time to have a chip away at them. He actually started to make progress because he wasn't constantly being knocked back, constantly being told off, and he was actually being positive about the lesson. That's an interesting way to start it, but it works. It's all right, he's just working from the other side, isn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely right, that's the green view, thank you.
I sort of answered more questions and got more stuff right and thought about things more.
I wasn't spending as much time with him in the lesson. He seemed to be involved more. Maybe he didn't actually realise himself at the time because it wouldn't have been one of his favourite subjects. But I would hope that he would see it on his timetable and not think, oh no, not that awful dance lesson again. He would, and maybe it's changed his perception of looking at different subjects and being a little bit more open-minded.
The behaviour points really gave us something that was quantifiable in terms of an improvement in behaviour and attitude, which was really why the programme started in the first place. And Andrew really was the student who was the leading light in terms of the progress he'd made. He'd made the biggest reduction in negative points. He'd won 2 of the termly awards. He was able actually to identify a real change to the way he was approaching school and life generally.
I did think that Andrew made a massive success, and I was really proud of him as well. Not just myself, I was proud of him, and that we worked as a team and we really pulled through it together.
It made me feel better about myself because I was getting awarded for doing good stuff and being more me than my old me.
Come on, you, boss.
He eventually felt confident enough to get himself a paper round. He gets himself up every morning, he goes and does the paper round. And now he even takes the dog that we've got, which I can trust Andrew to look after, and that was part of the reason we got him. He's just totally changed. I can't tell you how much. He's just a different lad.
Andrew isn't now part of the mentoring programme. He doesn't need that additional support. He's learned the strategies that he needs to have to deal with disruption, to manage his own behaviour, to manage his emotions so that he gets less stressed, less distracted and distracting in lessons. And he's really an independent lad making great progress now. We're really pleased with him.
The mentoring scheme helped me and I wanted to give something back to other kids. So I was thinking about being one of them mentors. It gave me a boost, so I want to get that boost back.